One day, circa 1950, the physicist Enrico Fermi was talking with fellow scientists about flying saucers and whether it might be possible, in theory, for an advanced alien species to cross the vast expanses of the galaxy by traveling faster than the speed of light. Suddenly, Fermi erupted. "But where is everybody?" Thus was born the Fermi paradox. The universe is big and old, and it is highly plausible that alien civilizations have evolved, based purely on statistical probabilities. Fermi posed his question in an era of technological revolutions, including computers and rocketry. It seemed possible humans would master space travel and explore the cosmos. So why is there no compelling scientific evidence that extraterrestrials have visited Earth? Perhaps the simplest explanation for the Fermi paradox is that there's no paradox at all. They're here, among us. The idea that mysterious things seen in the sky are alien spaceships has proved remarkably resilient. It has had some ups and downs and is now in an up phase. We have 3 key witnesses who reported highly publicized encounters with unknown objects in military training airspace. They are Ryan Graves and David Fravor, 2 former U.S. Navy aviators, and David Grush, a decorated U.S. military combat veteran and Pentagon intelligence officer. Not only that, 2024 has barely begun, and already there have been 2 viral news stories featuring tall aliens. The fact that 2 similar stories went viral in the first half of January highlights the increased public interest in aliens and paranormal phenomena, likely ignited by Congress taking the time to hear UFO testimony. All of these make many alien and UFO hunters believe that this year is going to be the year when aliens will finally make contact with mankind. But does it hold true? Or is it just a myth? All this and more will be discussed in today's episode. First, you have to know that as of now, the U.S. has spent nearly a century inquiring into the unknown. But how to keep track of it all? Here's a timeline of the U.S. government's ongoing fascination with UFOs. Over the course of 2 decades, from 1947 to 1969, the U.S. Air Force cataloged 12,618 sightings of UFOs as part of what is now known as Project Blue Book. These include lights, objects, and unexplained radar readings reported by military and civilian pilots, weather observers, astronomers, and other sources. The project came to an end in 1969 after a study by the University of Colorado, led by Edward U. Condon, concluded there was no evidence that UFOs came from other worlds, and that most sightings could be explained by natural phenomena, or even hoaxes. But the Condon report didn't put an end to interest in UFOs. So-called UFO-logists spent the next few decades filing open records requests with federal agencies to uncover what was known about the sightings. In 1995, businessman Robert Bigelow convened a small group in Las Vegas to discuss the possibility of alien life. He called the group the National Institute for Discovery Science. Participants included 2 former astronauts, Ed Mitchell and Harrison Schmitt, and 1 sitting U.S. Senator, Harry Reid, Democrat of Nevada. "A lot of people said it would ruin my career," Reid later said. That didn't quite happen. Reid would eventually become a key figure in driving the U.S. government's investigation of UFOs. In November 2004, 2 Navy pilots on a training mission were ordered to intercept a mysterious craft. They saw and captured on video an unusual oval-shaped craft, about 40 feet long, hovering over the Pacific Ocean about 100 miles off San Diego. It streaked away before the pilots could get near. One of the pilots, CMDR David Fravor, said at the time that he had no idea what he saw. "It had no plumes, wings, or rotors and outran our F-18S." In 2007, with backing from Reid, now the U.S. Senate's majority leader, the Pentagon launched the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program to investigate the latest round of sightings. The agency said in briefing papers that what was considered science fiction is now science fact. The program was run by a military intelligence official, Luis Elizondo, and worked hand-in-hand with an aerospace research company run by Bigelow. Next, in a series of incidents during this time, Navy pilots reported and made video recordings of a series of encounters with unidentified craft near Florida and Virginia that could reach high altitudes and hypersonic speeds. One pilot reported a near collision in 2014. Another later told 60 Minutes that the craft were hard to explain. You have rotation, you have high altitudes. You have propulsion, right? I don't know what it is, frankly. These incidents and investigations mostly went unreported to the broader public until December 2017, when the New York Times reported the existence of the Pentagon's Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. Although Pentagon officials said the program had ended in 2012, Elizondo told the paper he continued its work informally with cooperation from the Navy and CIA until his resignation in the fall of 2017. That sparked a new wave of interest in UFOs among the public, the media, and even scientists. In July 2020, Ravi Kopparapu and Jacob Hawk Misra, a NASA scientist and astrobiologist, respectively, wrote in Scientific American that it was time to revisit the conclusions of the Condon Report. They wrote, "Perhaps some, or even most, UAP events are simply classified military aircraft, or strange weather formations, or other misidentified mundane phenomena. However, there are still a number of truly puzzling cases that might be worth investigating." In August 2020, the Pentagon announced the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force to improve its understanding of and gain insight into the nature and origins of the unidentified objects. In April 2021, the Navy confirmed video of unidentified objects buzzing U.S. warships near California. The incident would be added to the list of sightings under investigation. In June, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence released its preliminary assessment of UFO sightings from 2004 to 2021. The report suggested that the UFOs, now known as UAPs, could fall into 5 likely categories: airborne clutter, natural atmospheric phenomena, public and private aerospace developmental programs, foreign adversary systems, and a catch-all other bin. In April 2022, the Pentagon announced the formation of the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office to investigate objects that might pose a threat to national security. The following June, NASA announced it was setting up an independent study program to cover the issue from a scientific perspective. We will be identifying what data, from civilians, government, nonprofits, companies, exists, what else we should try to collect, and how to best analyze it, said David Spergel, the study team leader. And 2022 also brought another acronym change. Unidentified aerial phenomena are now officially called Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena. Whatever is happening up, it still hasn't entirely been explained. The Director of National Intelligence released a follow-up report in June 2023, identifying an additional 510 sightings, of which 171 remained unexplained. In those cases, unidentified craft often appear to have demonstrated unusual flight characteristics or performance capabilities, the report said. Most explosively, a former intelligence official named David Grush came forward in June with a whistleblower report alleging the U.S. government was in possession of intact and partially intact vehicles from UFO crash sites. The craft, he said, were of non-human origin. But he also said he had never personally seen the objects, inviting skepticism from outside experts. As Boston University's Joshua Semeter, a professor of electrical and computer engineering and a member of the NASA team examining these reports, said, In the long history of claims of extraterrestrial visitors, it is this level of specificity that always seems to be missing. The evidence may be wanting, but the questions, and the sightings, and the investigations continue. Now the public's eyes are on two infamous locations where they believe we will have close encounters with extraterrestrials. One is Alaska, another is Area 51. Alaska, as you know, is known for its beautiful, breathtaking, serene, natural life and frigid outskirts. But since the dawn of time, there have been stories of paranormal activity ranging from abnormal lights and UFOs, UAPs, that continue today. Residents have reported otherworldly sightings in every corner from southern Juneau to the edge of the Arctic Circle with intensified frequency. UFO encounters have been historically linked to areas of high military activity, and Alaska has 9 major bases. Most people are familiar with the Bermuda Triangle, which is 500,000 square miles of open water in the Atlantic Ocean, creating a triangle between Miami, Puerto Rico, and Bermuda. Although the Bermuda Triangle is more widely known around the world, there has been evidence of the Alaska Triangle, which is more mysterious and has more cases of vanishings and crashes. The Alaska Triangle is located in a vast, remote wilderness area twice the size of Texas. This area is hundreds of times more deadly and is located between Utqiagvik, Anchorage, and Juneau. In the last 30 years, 16,000 people have disappeared without a trace, which is 2 to 3 times the amount of the Bermuda Triangle. That's why the Alaska Triangle is well known as one of the most mysterious and dangerous places on Earth. Ships have gone missing, planes down, and many people have vanished with no remains found or any good reason. The greatest risk in the Alaska Triangle is in the air, with over 2,000 planes crashed or vanished in the last 20 years. The case that baffles investigators to this day is the disappearance of a military transport plane called the Douglas C-54, known as the Missing Douglas, which vanished in 1950. On January 26, 1950, the Missing Douglas took off from the Elmendorf Air Base in the middle of the Alaska Triangle with 44 passengers on board. There were 36 passengers and 8 crew members carrying cargo, and the C-54 is one of the most important planes in the Air Force. During this time in history, it was a year after NATO was formed and the start of the Cold War. The C-54 was headed east 240 miles to a mandatory point. The plane made the radio call on time, and 2 hours into the flight, it vanished without a trace in the Alaska Triangle. There was no distress call or any indication that there was an emergency. After the plane did not arrive at its destination, it was declared missing, and an enormous search effort went into action, making it a top priority. 7,000 ground troops and 85 aircraft were deployed to help in the search of the enormous area of 300,000 square miles. No one could determine why and how the Missing Douglas disappeared. Thus, the case of the Missing Douglas aircraft remains open and unsolved after 70 years. In October 1972, a plane carrying the leader of the House of Representatives, Boggs, mysteriously vanished on the southern edge of the triangle. With 16,000 people and many planes missing, it remains one of the most mystifying mysteries on the planet. Was it a portal? Wormhole? Is paranormal activity happening in the Alaska Triangle? Was the C-54 abducted by a UFO? Frankly, we can't rule out any of these possibilities despite their wildness. In fact, an organization made up of civilian volunteers studies reported UFO sightings and has made the claims based on old eyewitness reports. According to its members, there may be alien bases off the coast of Alaska. Researchers and enthusiasts believe that the deep water off the coast of the state conceals the sites. It comes after they took a dive into the eyewitness reports from crew members of a ship in 1945. The alleged sightings of an alien craft from almost 80 years ago were never made public at the time. Unusual sightings in the area lead the network's members to believe that UFOs move over water and therefore likely have bases under the water. According to the researchers, the crew members on the U.S. Army transporter ship saw a UFO between 150 and 200 feet emerge from the water while sailing past island Adak. It is claimed that the UFO was unchanged by the wind or sail while it turned in its position. It then allegedly circled the ship a number of times before taking off. However, the reports of the sightings have not been found, and investigators have had to work without them. Enthusiasts believe that UFOs would be used to transport extraterrestrial life to other alien sites hiding in the waters. UFO researcher Johnny Enoch claims that sightings of UFOs rising from the water are due to an underwater network. He added, "Some have said the UFOs are using wormholes as a superhighway to connect their places in the universe." Some ufologists have theorized that other sites on Earth act as bases for alien life, including a mountain in Seoul, South Korea, which is allegedly hiding a UFO, according to Dr. Stephen Greer. In an episode of the series The Alaska Triangle, Enoch showed satellite images from underwater in an attempt to prove his belief in an underwater network. The images reportedly showed one of these alien bases in the Pacific Ocean off the coast of California. Meanwhile, another researcher featured in the program showed markings from the seabed that she claimed could have been roadways for aliens. The U.S. Sun previously reported on the 3-hour closure of an airport last weekend following an alleged UFO sighting. India's Air Force scrambled jets in response to a UFO that was seen hovering over Imphal's Bir Tikendrajit International Airport. According to police, the object was visible with bare eyes before it mysteriously vanished. Sadly, no evidence of a UFO was found following its disappearance. Next, let's come into the Area 51, located at Groom Lake in the middle of the barren desert of southern Nevada. Area 51 is a U.S. Air Force installation that has become infamous for a speculated connection with UFOs. Conspiracy theories surrounding the base suggest that it is used for the testing of alien technology recovered from supposed crash sites, like the famous one in Roswell, New Mexico. This has been fueled by the fact that the base was a secret for many years and is still inaccessible to the general public. As a result, this innocuous-looking military installation became forever associated with aliens in 1989, after a man claiming to have worked there, Robert Lazar, gave an interview with a Las Vegas news station. Lazar claimed that Area 51 housed and studied alien spacecraft and that his job was to recreate the technology for military use. However, Lazar's credentials were soon discredited. According to school records, Lazar never went to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology or California Institute of Technology, as he claimed. At the time, though, engineers at Area 51 were studying and recreating advanced aircraft. Just aircraft acquired from other countries, not from outer space. Nevertheless, with all of the high-tech flights out of Area 51, including more than 2,150 takeoffs by the A-12, reports of unidentifiable flying objects skyrocketed in the area. As journalist Annie Jacobson wrote in her 2011 book on Area 51, the aircraft's titanium body, moving as fast as a bullet, would reflect the sun's rays in a way that could make anyone think UFO. After all, Area 51 is still a pillar of U.S. alien mythology. A 2019 interview with Lazar on a popular podcast inspired a Storm Area 51 event, in which about 6,000 people showed up in the desert to look for evidence of aliens. It ultimately morphed into a festival celebrating all things alien. Even today, Area 51 draws believers and skeptics who frequent the small but thriving trail of alien-themed museums, restaurants, motels, parades, and festivals, all in hopes of discovering that the truth really is out there. While the search for traces of aliens on Earth is stuck, scientists searching a sea of stars for the sounds or sights of extraterrestrial intelligence. Because space is inconveniently enormous and traversing it so intensely time-consuming, it's exceedingly more likely that humanity's first brush with extraterrestrials will come in the form of eavesdropping on radio transmissions they've sent, or seeing a sign of technological civilization with a telescope, then recovering a pancaked little green wayfarer from a crashed capsule. So that's where scientists are focusing their work, listening and watching the stars above. This endeavor is exhaustive and exhausting, and the multitude of false positives can make it feel Sisyphean. But the prospect of success makes it worthwhile. A confirmed extraterrestrial signal detection would be a moment that divides history into before we knew there was somebody out there and after, says Seth Shostak, a senior astronomer at the SETI Institute. Discovering the existence of extraterrestrial intelligence would also instantaneously teach us something profound about the sustainability of life across the universe. As Ravi Kumar Kopparapu, a planetary habitability researcher at NASA, said, "If we detect a civilization, that means civilizations can exist for a reasonable amount of time and overcome their issues and problems. That means there's great hope for us." This is not simply a matter of pointing technological ears and eyes at the night sky and hearing the whispers or music of a distant intelligence. The cosmos is a noisy place, brimming with energetic bursts, including the hubbub from Earth itself, that drown out and occasionally mimic potential alien transmissions. It makes possible signs of extraterrestrial intelligence tricky to spot and harder to confirm. That prompts the question, one day we may get a message from, or see the signs of, intelligent alien life. So, how would we know it's real? Regardless of the answer, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence is actually matter. It is something any astronomer or astrophysicist can do if they have access to the right kind of observatories. The best-known place that engages in it is the SETI Institute, a privately funded nonprofit research organization in Silicon Valley. Inaugurated in 1984, its funders and specific functions have shifted over time, but it has always been interested in looking out for signs of extraterrestrial intelligence. Other SETI research groups at other institutions and universities around the world share that same elemental goal, and if you ask any of their members to explain their motivations, a common refrain is that the scientific revelations of discovering extraterrestrial would be unparalleled. If they were to discover that there is life out there, intelligent life that has forged a civilization, it would first mean that biology is not a fluke. Instead, it is something that can take root on many worlds, something that does not merely arise but repeatedly produces thinking, technological, curious creatures, those that may wish to share their knowledge of the universe and their way of traversing or surviving it with others. And if this civilization existed on a world very different from Earth, it would demonstrate that the largely unlivable cosmos is populated by myriad different isles of habitability. But SETI research, as told, is grueling work. No matter how scientists do it, it takes time, effort, and heapings of healthy skepticism. Those looking for the tangible gratification of a classic UFO are almost certainly going to be very disappointed. Of course, the US military is hiding things, says David Spergel, an astrophysicist at Princeton. But that doesn't mean it's hiding aliens. The way Spergel sees things, an alien intelligence visiting Earth either wants to be seen, in which case it would be rather flamboyant about it, showing itself to governments and citizens alike, or it doesn't, in which case it will remain inscrutable to everyone, even spies. They would not attach blinking lights to their interplanetary spacecraft, just as Ukraine's drones do not announce their existence to Russian forces with flashing underside lights. To Spergel, the most interesting part of the search for alien intelligence is as philosophical as it is scientific. Channeling the late Carl Sagan, he says the most interesting property of the universe by a wide margin is that somehow it has evolved a capacity to know itself. to ask questions about itself. In other words, elsewhere in vast space, billions of years of unconscious physics and chemistry created biology, and another few billion years have resulted in at least one species like us that wonders aloud how everything came to be, effectively giving the cosmos self-awareness. Wouldn't it be nice to know that we aren't the only ones capable of that? Everyone needs some alone time, but nobody likes to be truly, permanently alone. SETI scientists are simply applying that notion on a species-wide scale. We could potentially join other intelligent species on a quest for self-understanding. They might not know the answers to the big questions, the "why are we here" category of queries, any more than we do, but we can join them in figuring it out. That's all the information that we have for you today. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed today's episode, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell so you never miss out on future episodes. And be sure to also tell us what you think about today's content. Everyone's support motivates us to continue delivering quality content and to always improve. As always, thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.